Good morning students. Our chapter number 8 cell structure and functions is going on. In the first period we learn about who discovered the cell, multicellular and unicellular organisms, some examples of unicellular organisms. Today we will see the remaining part of this chapter. Students, in the first period we learn how some organism shows variety in a number of cells. In that we learn about the unicellular and multicellular organisms. Now today we will see how some organism shows the variety in a shape of the cells. Now see our next point, shape of the cell. Refer to figure 8.3a. How do you define the shape of the amoeba in the figure? Now see the figure. First you see the figure 8.3a, amoeba. It is a figure of amoeba, and when you see the figure, that time you can say that it has an irregular shape. Here amoeba, you may say that the shape appears irregular. The shape appears irregular. In fact, amoeba has no definite shape, unlike other organisms. When we see the figure, that time we can say that it shows an irregular shape, and amoeba has no definite shape. Amoeba has no definite shape, unlike the other organisms. It keeps on changing its shape. It can changes its shape. It can changing its shape. Observe the projections of wearing the lens protruding out of its body, and these called pseudopodia. When you see the figure, carefully, the some parts are coming out from its body, and these parts are called as a pseudopodia, which is called as a false pit, and we already learned that in a 7th class in chapter number 2, nutrition in animal. As you learn in a class 7, these projections appear and disappear. These projections can appear and also disappear as amoeba moves forward or feeds. Now one question will be arises, what is the advantage? What advantage does amoeba derive by changing shape? And what is the advantage? The change in shape is due to formation of pseudopodia. This change in shape is occurred because of the due to formation of the pseudopodia, and which facilitates movement, which provides its movement and help in capturing food. Now the next, a white blood cell, WBCs. White blood cells in our body, there are two types of cells are there, WBCs, red blood cells and white blood cells. Here we are learning about the WBCs. A white blood cell in a human blood is another example of single cell, which can change its shape. White blood cells, it also can change its shape, but white blood cell is a cell. Amoeba is full-fledged organisms capable of independent existence. It is an WBCs which is present in our human body, but amoeba, it is an organism, it has an organism which is capable of independent existence. तो कॅपेबल आहे, तो स्वतंत्र राहण्यासाठी तो कॅपेबल आहे, त्याच्यामध्ये कॅपॅसिटी आहे तेवढी. Now what shape would you expect in organisms with million of cells? Now at the starting of the chapter we learned that in our body millions of cells are present. Now what we expect about the shape of the organisms, the shape of the cells which is present in the organisms. Now here some figures are given. Here figure 8.4 ABC shows different cells, which is such as blood, muscle and nerve cells of human being, and the different shapes related to their specific function. Here some diagrams are given of first diagram figure 8.4a, spherical red blood cells of humans. Next one, B, spindle shaped muscle cells, and C, long branched nerve cell. Now when you see the figure, that time you can understand that these three figures and these three cells shows variety of the shape, and those are in a different shape. Those are having different shapes because of their related with their specific function. Now see, generally cells are round in shape. Generally cells are round, spherical or elongated. Spherical or elongated, which is shown in figure A, 8.4a. You can see the figure also, 8.4a, spherical red blood cells. Some cells are long and pointed at the both ends, and they exhibit spindle shape. And some cells are there which has pointed at the two ends, pointed at the both ends, and which shows in a spindle shape. Here 8.4b, spindle shape muscle cells, you can see there. Cells sometimes quite long, cells sometimes quite long, and some are branched like nervous cell or neuron, nervous cells or a neuron, which is figure C, long branched cell, nervous cell, which is related to our brain. The nerve cell receives and transfers the messages. The nerve cell which receives and transfers the messages, thereby helping to control and coordinate the working of different parts of the body. Different parts of the body, and that's why it is related to our brain, because the brain giving the order to different parts of the body. The nerve cell receives and transfers the message, therefore helping to control and coordinate the working of different parts of the body. Now here, can you guess which part of the cell? Can you guess which part of the cell gives it shape? Gives it shape. Components of the cells are enclosed in a membrane. What is the answer? Components. Many components are there in the cell, and that components are enclosed in the cell membrane, and these membrane provide shape to the cell, and these membrane provide shape to the cells of plant and animals, to the shape of plant and animal. And cell wall is an additional covering over the cell membrane, in plant cell. Now see, the cell wall present in only in the plant cell, and why it is provided? To give additional covering, give protection to the cell membrane, in the plant cell. It gives shape and rigidity to these cells, and because of the cell wall, it gives shape and also rigidity, kadakpana, strongness. It gives rigidity to these cells. And one another cell wall present in the bacterial cell. Bacterial cell also has a cell wall. Now we will see size of the cells. Next point, size of the cell. Now we learn at the first how the animals, they shows variety in a number of cells, how the animal shows in a shape of the cells, variety in a shape of the cells. Now we will see how the animals, they show the variety in a size of the cell. Now the size of the cells in the living organisms may be small as a millionth of meter, which is called micrometer or micron, or may be as large as a few centimeters, शेप साईज जी आहे सेलची ती एखाद्या लिव्हिंग ऑर्गॅनिझम मध्ये कदाचित कितीतरी मायक्रोमीटर आणि कितीतरी मायक्रॉन मध्ये असू शकते, किंवा ती कितीतरी सेंटीमीटर मध्ये, जास्तीत जास्त ती सेंटीमीटर मध्ये असू शकते, आणि कमीत कमी ती मायक्रोमीटर और मायक्रॉन मध्ये असू शकते. However, the most of the cells are microscopic in size and not visible to the unaided eye, and many more cells are there. Those are the microscopic, those are very small in size, and they can see only with the microscope, only we can see with the using microscope, and that are not visible with unaided eye, we cannot see with the open eyes. They need to be enlarged or magnified by microscope, and these cells, they need to be enlarged when we want to see, that time it need to be enlarged or magnified by the microscope, and for that purpose we have to use microscope. The smallest cell is 0.1 to 0.5 micrometer in bacteria. The smallest cell which is present in the bacteria, and which is 0.1 to 0.5 micrometer. The largest cell measuring 170 millimeter multiplies 130 millimeter is the egg of an ostrich. You are aware about that, the animal ostrich. Pakshi, sorry, Shamruk, the largest cell measuring 170 millimeter multiplies 130 millimeter, and it is the egg of the ostrich. Egg of the ostrich. जे ऑस्ट्रिच आहे, जे शामरुकचा अंडा आहे, त्याच्यामध्ये त्याचा जो सेल आहे तो मेजर कधी होतो, 170 millimeter multiplies by 130 millimeter. Now the next activity, and it is a simple activity. Boil a hen's eggs. Boil a hen's egg and remove the cell. And remove the shell. Observe. What do you observe? What do you observe? When suppose you are non-vegetarian, you can see, you can already saw that a white material surrounded the yellow part. A white material which is surrounded to the yellow part. You already saw that. And then white material is the albumin, which is a liquid form, which has a liquid form, and which is solidifies on boiling. When you break the hen's egg, that time you can understand that yellow part will be there, and yellow part inside in that, and some liquefied material will be there surrounded to that yellow material. The yellow part is a yolk. The yellow part is yolk, and it is a part of the single cell. And you can observe this single cell without any magnifying device. We are aware about that. Now here, are the cells in elephant larger than the cells in a rat? One question is arises in Pahel's mind. Are the cells which is present in the elephant that are larger than the cells which is present in the rat? Now answer was that the size of the cell has no relation with the size of the body of that particular animal or plant. The size of the cell. इथे काय क्वेश्चन आहे की एलिफंट मध्ये जी सेल आहे ती रॅट पेक्षा मोठी असणार आहे की छोटी असणार आहे का तेवढीच असणार आहे. नाउ हियर आन्सर इज द साइज ऑफ द सेल हॅज नो रिलेशन विथ साइज ऑफ द बॉडी ऑफ द ॲनिमल ऑर प्लांट. जी साइज आहे, जी सेलची साइज आहे ही त्याच्या त्या पर्टिक्युलर त्या ॲनिमलच्या किंवा प्लांटच्या बॉडीवरती, त्याच्या साईजवरती, बॉडीच्या साईजवरती डिपेंड नाही आहे, तर ती त्याच्या वर्कवरती डिपेंड आहे. द साइज ऑफ द सेल हॅज नो रिलेशन with the size of the body of the animal or plant. It is not necessary that the cells in the elephant be much bigger than those in a rat. The size of the cell is related to its function. I already stated that the size of the size of the cell, it is related to its function, not on the size of the animal. For example, nerve cells both in elephant and rat are long and branched. Suppose we will take an example about the nerve cell, and the nerve cell which is present in the both in elephant and rat, which are long and branched, and they perform the same function. And what is the function of the nerve cell? That transferring the messages. Now here our next point, 8.4, cell structure and function. Cell structure and function. You have learned that each living organism has many organs. Now consider about us. We are having many organs. We are also living organisms. We are having many organs like hand, leg, eyes. Many more organs are there. You have studied in class 7 about the digestive organs, which together constitute the digestive system. In class 7 we learn about the digestive system. And these many more digestive organs are there, like tongue, then saliva, then food pipe, stomach, large intestine, small intestine, and combinedly it is called as a digestive system. Each organ in the system performs different functions. Now suppose we will learn about the digestive system. When we learn about the digestive system, that time we will learn that there are the different organs. They are performing their different functions, like digestion, assimilation, and absorption. Absorption. Suppose the food material, it is mixes with the saliva. then it passes to the food pipe. The food pipes work, it passes the food into the stomach, then digestion process, then assimilation in the small intestine, absorption process is going on in this way. Similarly, different organs of a plant perform specific and specialized functions. In the same way that, suppose we are thinking about the digestive system, there are many more organs are there and they are performing different functions. In the same way that in a plant also many more different organs are there, different parts are there of the plant, and they are performing specific and specialized function. They are having specific and specialized function. For example, roots help in the absorption of water and minerals. We are aware about that. Roots, they are absorbing water and minerals. Leaves, which is responsible for synthesis of food. We already learned the photosynthesis process. The leaves, as you learn in a class 7th, which is responsible for synthesis of food. Now we are learning about the plant. The plant part, the root, helps to absorption of the water and mineral, and leaves, which is helps to for the synthesis of food. Each organ is further made up of small parts called tissue. Now we will think about the organ, which is organ, and that is made by the small part which is called as a tissue, and a tissue is a group of similar cells performing specific function. A टिश्यू, हा टिश्यू कधी तयार होतो, जर त्यामध्ये एक समान काम करणाऱ्या सेल त्यामध्ये असतात, त्या स्पेसिफिक फंक्शन असतात, त्यापासून टिश्यू तयार होतो आणि ते कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ टिश्यू, दॅट पर्टिक्युलर कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ टिश्यू, वन organ was prepared. Now Paheli realized that an organ is made up of tissues. Organ is made up of tissues, which in turn are made up of cell. Now we realize that organ is made up of tissue, but tissue is made up of cells, and that's why the cell in a living organism is the basic structural unit. The cell in a living organism is the basic structural unit. Today, up to this we covered. Remaining part we will see in the next period.